Hi, I'm Dr. Justine Lee, and I'm an emergency critical care veterinary specialist and toxicologist. And today, I wanted to give you some tips to look for in your dog or your cat that indicate that you need to rush your dog or your cat to the veterinarian or the emergency veterinarian, even if it's in the middle of the night. So the first sign is if your dog or your cat's having difficulty breathing, if they're constantly panting, if their mouth is open, especially for a cat, if their gums are light blue or if they're light pink, if they're constantly coughing, those are signs that your pet's having difficulty breathing. The second thing is if your dog or your cat got into anything poisonous. If it's an Easter lily or a prescription medication or a poisonous plant, when in doubt, you want to rush to a veterinarian right away. And that's because the sooner you identify that your pet's been poisoned, the sooner we can treat it as veterinarians, and the less expensive it'll be for you and the less dangerous it'll be for your pet. The third sign is if your dog or your cat suddenly can't walk. If they collapse or they can't walk, they can't move their legs, this can be a life-threatening emergency. Sometimes it's from a stroke or from trauma or even from underlying neuromuscular disease or musculoskeletal disease. If your dog or your cat acutely seizures and they've never had a history of seizuring before, get to a veterinarian right away. If your dog is an epileptic and they seizure more than 5 minutes, or they have multiple seizures in a row, what we call cluster seizures, you also need to get to a veterinarian immediately. The next thing I always tell people is if you notice gastrointestinal signs like vomiting or diarrhea. If your dog or your cat vomits once, that's okay. But if it's protracted, in other words, it's more than a few times in a row, you want to get to a veterinarian right away just to make sure something's not stuck in the stomach or the intestines. Oftentimes we'll do x-rays just to make sure nothing is stuck in there. The last emergency I always tell people about is if you notice signs of bloat or gastric dilatation volvulus. If you have a large breed dog and you notice your dog is retching, really agitated, is pacing, can't produce anything when it's trying to swallow, those are signs that you need to get to a veterinarian immediately. And last, if you notice that your dog or cat is acting like they're in pain, if a cat is hiding or a dog is shivering, if they're really clingy, you notice any change in personality or behavior, when in doubt, get to a veterinarian just to be on the safe side. While this list isn't all-inclusive, there's a couple of other indications to get to a vet. When in doubt, it's always safest to talk to a veterinarian or an emergency veterinarian just to make sure your pet is healthy.